I don't know why I have this urgency in me that feels so all-consuming to make records. It's something that gets me up in the morning and gives me purpose, and for most of the time I feel like a loser who's just sitting in their pants, watching cartoons, playing guitar. But when I do music and I'm on stage, I feel alive and 100 miles an hour. When I'm up there with my best friends, you're fucking invincible. According to the media, we started about 6 years ago, but in truth, it's probably more like 12. We played some empty rooms, some toilets, and the rest. Over time, with a lot of hard work, things started to change. We put out our first record in 2018, and it was one of the hardest things we've ever done. We went in at 33, Tom decided to leave the band, and our management folded. This is a story of album number 2, the tears, the chaos, the art, celebrations, tour vans, drinking, crying, everything in between, hospitals, pandemics. Who cares? Let's go. Beer for the road. Hi, my name's Iz. I play in a band called Black Honey. I wanted to show behind the curtain of how records get made by unsigned bands. I really personally like watching those old school rock and roll documentaries, and I feel like in the immediacy culture of how everything gets put out onto the internet these days, you don't really get to see or enjoy the insides of things, or you don't necessarily see what goes into it. I wanted to get behind the scenes, make it all myself, kind of for YouTube or whatever. It started back in October 2019. I've been filming throughout the last year, and let's see how it goes. We decided that we would go in, do the first 5 or 6 songs. A lot of it was improvised. A couple of the songs that you're going to hear throughout this didn't actually make the cut on the record in the end. I've known Chris for almost 12 years. He's the only other original member of Black Honey, including myself. I first met him when we were walking to the station after a lesson I had in Brighton. He told me that he knew how to do Logic and wanted to be in a stadium rock band, so I thought he'd be a good person to write songs with. The first time that me and Dimmy met was about 2 years before we started making this record, and I was in the studio with Carl Barat and Dimmy and Ollie Burden, and we were writing a song. I asked them who I should get to produce the record, because album 1 was a really difficult process and we really didn't enjoy the actual production side of it at all. And then they immediately just said, just get Dimmy to do it.
Yeah. Woo!
Chris is super collaborative. He has this sort of energy that he brings to the studio, which is just really contagious. It was the perfect decision to bring Dimmy in for album 2 because he really understood our vision. He understood that we needed something modern as well as something vintage, and old classic songs are what inspired Black Honey, and that's our DNA, but we wanted to bring it forward slightly into a modern rock context.
Wow. Perfect.
We did it at Narcissa Studios, which is this crazy place where you kind of like go inside a fish factory and then you go in and it's actually, the whole building is covered in Damien Hirst paintings and bespoke art. It has like the most crazy instruments. There was Johnny Cash's guitar, there was like loads of really incredible historical pieces of instruments, so that was pretty good. Rock and roll history. Are you having a nice time? Are you bass shredding?
Yeah.
Let's just try it without.
Always.
What bass are you playing?
This one.
Shred.
A brown one.
The brown one.
Congratulations.
Wait, he's wearing brown and playing brown.
Whoa.
I'm feeling
Whoa
all
there,
kinds of
Tommy.
brown, making the brown note.
I've known Tommy for about 10 years. He started off actually in the band as our drummer. Tommy was crucial in putting together Written and Directed because he was obviously like part in place of the writing process. If I'm unsure of a lyric or a concept, he's really good at like rhythm proofing lyrics with me. Also, he doesn't say much, but when he does, you know it's like valid. After the first 5 days of drum stems, we then went on a 2-week tour with Of Monsters and Men. Then we came back and did another 5 days in Narcissus, where we did the drum stems for the remaining 5 or 6 tracks that we wanted to do for the record. It felt like a very open dialogue to bringing friends in and working with them. Ollie from The Prodigy, Carl Barat, like those guys were really great in writing, and then also Jamie from the Claxons came in and he did some stuff, and then we also had Dom from Nothing But Thieves. But I like to imagine it a bit like the Rolling Stones and Andy Warhol in the 70s, when the Rolling Stones would just come into the factory and they would just like rehearse as people were making art, and it's more like a rotating door of creativity.
Lovely. Let's do the final chorus.
I wrote Believer on the same day that I wrote Beaches with my friend Jim. It was basically a coming out, coming of age, coming up moment. I wanted it to feel like queer and celebratory, but also like take a sarcastic eye roll at like religious contexts of celebrations and songs.
Oh my god, you're a jaggy snake. Wah, 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 wah.
You're a fucking snake. I knew Tom almost the same length of time that I've known Tommy. He was Tommy and Chris's other housemate, and when we couldn't find a bass player, we asked Tommy to play bass and then kind of roped Tom in as a temporary drummer. And I remember Tom just being like, I'm so glad I don't have to be in Black Honey, because all you guys do is sit around arguing about records and like what songs you want to write. Tom leaving meant that Black Honey just basically felt like we'd lost a complete limb for a long time. We had to go back to square one and start sort of finding drummers again. We gave him the choice, like, Tom, do you want to work on this record or not? Because he'd kind of said before then that he wanted to leave, which is why we ended up in this like really extraordinary position of having Alex and Tom in the studio at the same time. They got on so well that it felt really special.
Hey, do you like my jewellery? My friend gave it to me.
Oh my god, is that like all your...
Wait. Like this one makes my ring sparkle.
Sabrina and Frances were great to like bring in, and Sabrina's an amazing singer. I've known her. She's like my best friend. I've known her for years, and we needed some more female voices on the record because absolutely fuck making a record that's about the female gaze with just like me and loads of men in the room. Frances is a friend that's also on our same management label as us.
I'm a believer.
All I couldn't stop saying it this whole time was this eyeball that is here.
Yes. This
And
would be a
and
very good
eyelashes.
rock to be standing on if you're on acid.
I'm a believer, baby.
I'm a believer, baby. I'm a believer.
No.
It's easy to tell.
Relax, you got it, you got it.
I'm a believer, baby.
Same notes.
I'm a believer.
I can't
me the threat.
Right now it is January, we're halfway through doing the record and it's been pretty good. I have really enjoyed Dimmy and his weird instrument choices. The record's turning out to be quite a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. I didn't write it that heavy, but then I wanted it to be heavier because I feel like there was so much more room to explore being heavier. Oh no, my battery's about to die. It's also been quite fun having two drummers for the whole thing. We've had Alex in to come and see the ropes. Alex is our new drummer. I'm really enjoying him, and also I'm kind of enjoying the fact that Tom's been here to do the whole of the last part of the process with us. We've had the Haggis Horns, who is Amy Winehouse's brass section, record a part for I think 3 or 4 of our tunes. They sound good.
Fucking so good!
We feel like we're actually ahead for once, which is never really a thing. We decided on the title of the album. Can I say the title of the album now? Yeah, I don't give a shit. The album's called Written Directed, and this is what it's gonna look like. I've worked way too hard on making this stuff to not show you guys. And here we have it, a few months later. Ta-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Looks great.
You can't put that on the internet. You can't do it.
After everything that we've made, like drums are all recorded, everything's kind of coming together, but we're just filling in the last bits and pieces. It was really behind. Calling Dom up and being like, can you help us with this track was super useful because he had loads of great ideas.
What a life-changing performance.
Beautiful. And then we had to get Dave McCracken in because all of this happened on the last week of recording, so we were so behind. And then we ended up splitting the 2 rooms in half and then having a room which we recorded with Dave and a room where we recorded with Dimmy. Having Dave was so amazing. He's worked with some crazy, like he's worked with like Beyonce. You can really feel that there's loads of energies that come into this record. They've all been part to making it what it is.
Right, let's go. Take 1, please. Thank you so much.
Gabrielle, you have him underneath your spell. All the secrets I...
Today is the last day of making a second record. I feel proud of so many things. First of all, I feel fucking proud of the fact that we funded this album ourselves. Secondly, I feel happy about the fact that absolutely no label or anyone was anything to do with this. We booked it ourselves, we found the producer ourselves. I feel proud because it's such a huge combination of songs that I believe in. It's heavy, it's much heavier. I feel like I've said everything that I needed to say. We've covered all the bases of things that I like in music. It's just the right amount of retro, it's just the right amount of heavy, it's just the right amount of nostalgic, and yeah. The mixing process is the point where the light is at the end of the tunnel and you can see the finishing line, and it's really exciting. And having been hooked up with this amazing deal where we get to work with Alan Moulder and Caesar was a huge privilege. Like, Alan Moulder's made some crazy records. It was so close and everything was just coming together, and it just felt like this point all of the icing of the cake was on. It sounds amazing. Everything is outdone the expectation of what you think you can make by this point. We've made an album that we're really proud of. It sounds way better than we ever expected. going forward from this, we've got content to make, videos to film. How are we meant to market this album in the middle of a global pandemic? At that point, I didn't even care about the band. I just wanted my friend to be okay.